The alarm screamed through every hallway of Outpost Harmony. Yang ran toward the command center, his boots hitting the metal floor hard. Red lights flashed everywhere. People were shouting. Someone was crying. "Report!" Yang yelled as he burst through the door. Wu, the security chief, looked up from his screen. His face was pale. "Sir, we have 18 ships in orbit there. They came out of nowhere and started firing on our satellites." Yang felt his stomach drop. They were a powerful empire. They controlled dozens of star systems. Outpost Harmony was just a small research colony with 200 civilians. They had no warships, no heavy weapons, nothing that could stop an empire's fleet. "Get everyone to the underground shelters," Yang ordered. "Now." The next hour was chaos. People grabbed what they could and ran. Parents carried crying children. Scientists abandoned their experiments. The chief science officer, helped the older colonists move faster. She was calm even though Yang could see the fear in her eyes. The first missile hit the surface buildings. The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A woman screamed. Wu's security team guided everyone down the long stairs into the shelter system below the colony. Yang was the last one down. He sealed the blast door behind him and locked it. The shelter was crowded. 200 people packed into spaces meant for half that number. The air already felt too warm. Yang called him over. She had a data pad in her hands. "I think I know why they're here." "Tell me." 6 months ago, we discovered a new quantum field theory. It could change how ships travel through space, make them faster, much faster. The Council ordered us to keep it secret until we understood it better. She looked at him. They must have found out somehow. Yang closed his eyes. Of course. They didn't attack for no reason. They wanted the research data. They wanted to be the only ones with that kind of power. Wu joined them. "Sir, we have a problem. The commander is broadcasting a message." They gathered around the communication station. A face appeared on the screen. The alien had gray skin and 4 eyes. Its mouth moved strangely when it spoke. "Humans of Outpost Harmony," the commander said, "you have 48 hours to surrender. Give us all your research data. Come to the surface with no weapons. If you refuse, we will dig you out. You cannot win. You cannot escape. Choose wisely." The screen went black. The shelter was silent. Yang looked around at the frightened faces. Old men, young mothers, children who didn't understand what was happening. These were scientists and farmers, not soldiers. But Yang had been a soldier once. So had Wu. They knew what surrender meant. They would take the data, then they would take prisoners. Some people might live, many would not. That was how empires worked. "No," Yang said quietly. Wu looked at him. "Sir." "No surrender," Yang said louder. Everyone could hear him now. "We hold this position, we fight." "Fight with what?" someone shouted from the crowd. "We have mining equipment and security rifles. They have warships." "We have these tunnels," Yang said. "We have time, we have each other. And we have one thing they don't expect." "What's that?" Nuh asked. "They think we're weak because we're civilians. They think we'll just give up." Yang looked at Wu. "Get every able person organized. I don't care if they're 70 years old. If they can hold a tool or watch a tunnel entrance, they're part of our defense." Wu nodded and started giving orders. 1. The medical officer set up a small clinic in one corner of the shelter. She had limited supplies, but she organized everything carefully. "If people get hurt, bring them to me," she said. "I'll do what I can." Yang found the communication station again. They had jammed most of their systems, but not everything. He worked for an hour, trying different frequencies. Finally, he found one narrow band that might reach beyond the jamming field. He recorded a simple message. "This is Outpost Harmony. We are under attack by forces. 200 civilians trapped. Need immediate assistance. Coordinates attached." He sent it out into space. Maybe it would reach someone, maybe it wouldn't, but they had to try. The first day passed slowly. They didn't attack the tunnels yet. They were waiting, giving the humans time to think about surrender, time to get scared. Wu organized patrol teams. They watched every tunnel entrance from inside. They set up simple traps using mining explosives and trip wires. It wasn't much, but it was something. Null worked with other scientists to destroy their research data. If we're going to fight, she said, we make sure they get nothing even if they win. Yang watched her work. She was deleting years of discoveries, throwing away knowledge that could have helped humanity. But she was right. Better to destroy it than let them have it. On the second day, they tried their first probe. A small team came to one of the tunnel entrances. Wu's team waited until they were close, then triggered one of the traps. The explosion echoed through the tunnels. When the smoke cleared, the team was gone. But so was that entrance, collapsed, blocked with tons of rock. 1 down, 7 to go, Wu said grimly. Yang knew the math. They could maybe stop 1 or 2 more attacks that way. Then they would be trapped with no way out. They could just wait for them to run out of air or food or water. That night Yang couldn't sleep. He walked through the crowded shelter. People had made small spaces for their families. Children slept on blankets. Adults talked quietly. Someone was praying. A young girl, maybe 8 years old, looked up at him. Are the bad aliens going to get us? Yang knelt down next to her. No, he said. We're going to be okay. How do you know? Because we're humans, Yang said. We don't give up, ever. The girl smiled a little and went back to sleep. Yang hoped he was telling the truth. He hoped his message had reached Earth. He hoped someone was coming. But hope was all they had now. That and 46 hours until the deadline ended. He went back to the command post. Wu was still awake, studying maps of the tunnel system. We can hold maybe 1 more day after the deadline, Wu said quietly. 2 days if we're lucky. Then they'll breach our defenses. Yang nodded. He had done the same calculations. So we make them remember us, Yang said. If we're going down, we go down fighting. We show these that humans don't break easily. Wu looked at him for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was a tired, grim smile, but it was real. Yes, sir, Wu said. We'll make them remember. Outside, above the ground, the ships waited in orbit. They had no idea what was coming. They didn't know that 3 days away, traveling faster than light, Earth's answer was already on its way. But the people in the shelter didn't know that either. All they knew was that they were trapped, outnumbered, and running out of time. All they could do was hold the line and pray that someone heard their call for help. Admiral Sang stood in the command center of Geneva Orbital Station, staring at the message on his screen. He had read it 5 times already. Each time made him angrier. How long ago did we receive this? He asked. The communications officer checked her station. 3 days, sir. The signal was weak. It took time to clean up the interference. 3 days. Sang felt his jaw tighten. Outpost Harmony had been under attack for 3 days, and Earth was only finding out now. Get me the Security Council, he ordered. Now. Within minutes, faces appeared on screens around the room. Politicians, diplomats, people who liked to talk and debate. Sang had no patience for that today. Outpost Harmony is under siege by forces, he said without greeting them. 200 civilians. We need to respond immediately. Council member Torres spoke first. Admiral, we should contact the government through proper diplomatic channels. Perhaps this is a misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding, Sang cut him off. They want our quantum research. They're willing to kill for it. Diplomacy takes weeks. Those people have hours. What are you proposing? Another council member asked. I'm proposing we send the 3rd Assault Unit, Ghost Wolves. They specialize in exactly this kind of situation. That's an act of war, Torres said. The Empire controls 40 systems. We control 12. They have 3 times our fleet's strength. Sang leaned forward. 200 humans are trapped and dying. What do you think will happen if we do nothing? What message does that send? That Earth abandons its people when things get hard. That we only protect colonies that are easy to defend. The room was quiet. We have a doctrine, Sang continued. No human left behind. It's not just words. If we break that promise, we lose everything that makes us worth defending. Council Member Park, an older woman, spoke up. I agree with the Admiral. Send the ghost wolves. If they want a war, they can have one. But they will not take our people without a fight. One by one, the other council members nodded. Authorized, Torres said finally. Bring them home, Admiral. Sang allowed himself a small smile. Yes, sir. He switched channels. Colonel Jinho, report to my office immediately. Colonel Jinho arrived 10 minutes later. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and scars on his hands. He had been leading the 3rd Assault Unit for 5 years. In that time, they had completed 18 missions, all successful, 0 casualties. You called, sir. Sang showed him the message from Outpost Harmony. Jinho read it once. His face didn't change expression, but Sang saw his hands curl into fists. When do we leave? Jinho asked. How fast can you mobilize? 6 hours. We'll need 3 stealth frigates and 200 soldiers, plus support crew. You have it. Captain Bora will command the lead ship. She's the best pilot we have. Jinho nodded. What are our rules of engagement? Get our people out. Destroy any forces that try to stop you. The Council has authorized full combat operations. Understood. Jinho turned to leave. Colonel, Sang called after him. Jinho stopped. Bring them home, all of them. Jinho looked back at the Admiral. Always do, sir. The next 6 hours were controlled chaos. Jinho walked into the Ghost Wolves' ready room and found his unit already suiting up. They had heard the news. They always heard the news fast. Listen up, Jinho called out. Everyone stopped and turned to him. Outpost Harmony, Research Colony, 200 civilians under siege by forces. We have 4 days of travel time. By the time we arrive, they'll have been holding out for a week, maybe longer. He pulled up a hologram of the outpost. The colony has underground shelters. That's good. Means the civilians have some protection. But they have 18 ships in orbit and at least 500 ground troops. We'll be outnumbered. Wouldn't be fun if we weren't, someone called out. A few people laughed. Jinho allowed himself a small smile. We go in dark. No broadcasts, no warnings. We hit them before they know we're there. Captain Bora will navigate us through their sensor grid. Lieutenant Dong's team handles the breach operations. Sergeant 1, you're on demolitions. I want their command ship disabled before they can call for reinforcements. Dong raised his hand. What about the civilians, sir? They'll be scared. They might not recognize us. Good point. We'll coordinate with whoever's in command down there before we breach. Let them know help is coming. Make sure they don't shoot us by mistake. Everyone nodded. This is what we train for, Jinho said. This is why we exist, because no human gets left behind, not while the ghost wolves are breathing. Am I clear? Sir, yes, sir. 200 voices answered as one. Good, we launch in 3 hours. Get your gear checked. Say goodbye to your families. Next time you see Earth, you'll be bringing our people home. Captain Bora stood on the bridge of the unseen dawn. The stealth frigate was small compared to battleships, but it was fast and nearly impossible to detect. She had flown through enemy territory a dozen times and never been caught. All systems green, her pilot officer reported. Slip space drive ready. Crew status. All 72 Ghost Wolves loaded and secured. Weapons hot. Medical bay prepared for casualties. Boron nodded. Through her window, she could see the other 2 frigates, Silent Hunter and Shadow Strike, taking position. Jinho's voice came through her communicator. All units, this is Ghost Wolf Leader. We have green light from Earth Command. Our people have been waiting long enough. Let's go get them. Unseen Dawn ready, Bora reported. Silent Hunter ready. Shadow Strike ready. Then we launch in 3, 2, 1, mark. The 3 ships accelerated away from Geneva Station. Space bent around them as they entered slip space. Stars stretched into lines. Then they were gone, racing across the galaxy at speeds that broke normal physics. Bora checked her navigation computer. 4 days. They would arrive in 4 days. She hoped Outpost Harmony could hold out that long. Deep in the unseen dawn, Jinho sat with his senior officers. Lieutenant Dong was studying building schematics. Sergeant 1 was calculating explosive yields. Lieutenant Jin, their best sniper, was cleaning her rifle. They have never fought human special forces before, Jinho said. They think they know what we are. They don't. What do they know? Jin asked. They know we're persistent. They know we use combined tactics, but they've only fought our regular military units. They've never encountered a Ghost Wolves operation. One looked up from his calculations. They're about to learn. The fight in formations, Jinho continued. They have strict hierarchies. Take out the commander, the rest get confused. They rely on their technology, shields, sensors, heavy armor. They think that makes them invincible. Does it? Dong asked. Jinho smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Not against humans who know how to improvise. Not against soldiers who trained in every environment Earth has. Mountains, deserts, underwater, zero gravity, we're adaptable. They're not. He pulled up enemy ship specifications. The command ship has strong shields but weak reactor protection. 1, you'll place charges there. When they drop, their fleet loses coordination. What about their ground troops? Jin asked. You'll handle officer elimination. Long range, silent. By the time they realize they're under attack, we'll be inside their perimeter. Jinho looked at each of them. This isn't just a rescue mission. This is a message. We're telling the Empire and every other alien power out there that you don't touch humans, not without consequences. Dong nodded slowly. How hard do we hit them, sir? Hard enough that they never forget. Hard enough that the next time someone thinks about attacking a human colony, they remember what happened at Outpost Harmony. The room was quiet for a moment. Sir, one said, those civilians have been holding out for days against impossible odds. That takes courage. Yes, it does, Jinho agreed. They're going to be surprised when we show up. Jinho stood. Let's make sure it's a good surprise, get some rest. We have 4 days to prepare. When we arrive, we work fast and clean. No mistakes, no casualties. His officers left to brief their teams. Jinho stayed behind, looking at the star map. Somewhere out there, 200 humans were waiting, scared, tired, maybe losing hope. Hold on, he thought, we're coming. And when the Ghost Wolves arrived, they were going to learn why you never trap a human's family. Because humans didn't just fight for territory or resources. They fought for each other. And they never stopped coming. Day 5 of the siege arrived with an explosion that shook the entire tunnel system. Dust rained from the ceiling. People screamed. Children cried. Yang grabbed the wall to steady himself. Report, he shouted into his communicator. Wu's voice came back, crackling with static. They're done waiting, sir. Full assault on tunnel entrance 3. We triggered our charges, but they're pushing through. Fall back to secondary positions. Don't let them pin you down. Copy that. Yang looked around the main shelter. 200 faces looked back at him. They were tired, hungry. The air was stale and warm, water was running low, but they were still here, still alive, still fighting. Everyone stay calm, Yang announced. Our security teams know what they're doing. Stay in your designated areas. Medical personnel be ready. One was already moving, organizing her small medical station. She had turned a storage room into a clinic. Limited supplies, but she made them stretch. Another explosion, this one closer. Nu came running up to Yang. I got something on the emergency frequency. It's encrypted, Earth military encryption. Yang's heart jumped. Show me. They ran to the communication station. Their communications officer was working the controls. The message was short and heavily coded, but it was there. Relief inbound, hold position. ETA 12 hours, ghost wolves. Yang read it 3 times to make sure he wasn't imagining it. They're coming, he whispered, then louder, they're coming. Who's coming? Someone asked. Earth sending help. The Ghost Wolves assault unit. They'll be here in 12 hours. The shelter erupted. People were crying, hugging each other, laughing. Some collapsed in relief. But Yang's relief was mixed with fear. 12 hours. They had to hold for 12 more hours. He found Wu on the command channel. Did you hear? I heard, Wu said. Yang could hear weapon fire in the background. Problem is, I don't think we have 12 hours. They are pushing hard. They know we're at our limit. Then we buy time, whatever it takes. I have an idea, a new voice said. Yang turned. It was Mi-sun, a young engineer. She was only 23, but she had been helping create their improvised defenses. What kind of idea? Yang asked. The mining charges we've been using are too simple. They figured out how to spot them. But I can build something better, something that looks like tunnel collapse but is actually a trap. How long? 2 hours, maybe 3. I need help. Take whoever you need, do it. Mi-sun ran off with 3 other engineers. At tunnel entrance 3, Wu and his team were fighting hard. They pushed forward with heavy shields and plasma weapons. Each shot lit up the tunnel in blue light. Fall back, Wu ordered, stay low. His people retreated down the tunnel. They fired as they moved, keeping the cautious. Wu had learned over the past 5 days that they were strong but not creative. They followed their training exactly. That made them predictable. He triggered a small charge behind them. The tunnel ceiling cracked. Rock fell, slowing the advance. How much ammunition left? He asked his second-in-command, a woman named. 3 magazines each, maybe 50 shots total for the whole team. Not good. When the ammunition ran out, they would be fighting with mining tools and bare hands. But 12 hours, they just needed 12 more hours. Set up at Junction 7, Wu ordered. We make our stand there. Junction 7 was where 3 tunnels met. They could cover all approaches. It was also where Mi-sun said she would plant her new trap. In the shelter, Yang walked among the civilians. He needed them to stay strong just a little longer. Is it true? An old man asked. Help is really coming. Yes, Yang said. Earth didn't abandon us. They're sending their best. Who are the Ghost Wolves? Special forces, elite soldiers. They handle rescue missions in hostile territory. If anyone can get us out, they can. The old man smiled. My grandson is in the Earth military. Maybe he's up there somewhere. Maybe he is, Yang said gently. He didn't mention that the Ghost Wolves only took volunteers, that they had the highest casualty rate of any unit, that they only succeeded because they were willing to die to complete their missions. But they did succeed, always. A young mother approached him carrying a baby. Sir, we're running out of formula. He's so hungry. Yang felt his chest tighten. I'll find something. Give me an hour. He went to their supply room. They had been rationing for days. Everything was low. Food, water, medicine, air filters. He found one there, counting bandages. We're running out of everything, she said without looking up. I know. If we don't get rescued soon, people will start dying, not from weapons, from thirst and hunger. We have 12 hours, we can make it. Can we? One looked at him. Yang, we have 19 wounded. 5 of them are critical. I'm doing surgery with mining equipment, sterilizing tools with alcohol from the lab. If we get hit again, if more people get hurt, I can't save them all. Yang put his hand on her shoulder. You're doing everything possible, more than anyone could ask. It's not enough. It will be, because in 12 hours those soldiers will be here. They'll have supplies, medicine, a way out. One closed her eyes. I hope you're right. Mi-sun worked fast. She had found old mining charges that didn't explode properly. Instead of throwing them away, she was using them. She connected them to tunnel support beams, added pressure sensors, created a false floor. If this works, she explained to her team, they will walk over what looks like solid ground. Their weight triggers the supports to collapse. The whole section drops. Anyone on it falls 50 meters into the old mining pit. That's clever, one of the engineers said. It's desperate, Mi-sun corrected, but desperate is all we have. They finished just as Wu's team reached Junction 7. Is it ready? Wu asked. Ready as it'll ever be. Just make sure our people don't walk on it. How do we know where it's safe? Mi-sun sprayed yellow marks on the safe paths. Follow the yellow, avoid the center. Got it. They waited. They were coming. Everyone could hear the heavy footsteps echoing through the tunnels. Wu positioned his team behind cover. They were down to their last ammunition. This had to work. There appeared a dozen of them, tall gray figures in heavy armor. They moved in formation, shields raised. Hold, Wu whispered to his team. Let them come. They advanced. They were being careful, watching for traps, but Mi-sun's trap looked like natural tunnel floor. They couldn't see the difference. The first stepped onto the false floor, then another, 6 of them standing in the kill zone. Wu held his breath. One more step, the lead's weight hit the trigger. The floor collapsed, support beams snapped. 6 soldiers fell, their weapons firing wildly as they dropped into darkness. The sound of impact echoed up from below. The remaining froze in shock. Now, Wu shouted. His team opened fire. They tried to return fire, but they were exposed and confused. 2 more went down. The rest retreated. Seal this tunnel, Wu ordered. Make it look unstable. They placed charges and brought down part of the ceiling. Not enough to fully collapse it, but enough to make them think it was too dangerous to use. That bought us maybe 2 hours, said. Wu checked his chronometer. Then we hold for 2 more hours, and then 2 more after that, whatever it takes. Back in the command center, Yang received an update from Wu. The trap had worked. They were regrouping, trying to find another way in. Good work, Yang said. Now. His words were cut off by a massive explosion. The entire shelter shook. Lights flickered. Someone somewhere was screaming. What was that? Na shouted. Checked her sensors. Her face went white. They're bombing from orbit, not the tunnels, the surface buildings. They're trying to collapse the tunnel system from above. Can they do that? I don't know, but if they hit the right spot, they could bring the whole mountain down on us. Another explosion, closer this time. Cracks appeared in the shelter walls. Reinforce the support columns, Yang ordered. Everyone who can lift a beam, help now. People jumped up. They grabbed equipment. They worked together, propping up ceiling supports, shoring up walls. An engineer directed them, calculating stress points on the fly. A third explosion. Dust filled the air. A child coughed. Then more people were coughing, struggling to breathe. Get the air filters running at maximum, one shouted. The filters whined to life, clearing some of the dust, but they wouldn't last long at maximum power. Yang's communicator buzzed. Wu's voice was urgent. Sir, the orbital bombardment is collapsing tunnel sections. We're cut off from Junction 4 and 5. We have to pull everyone back to the main shelter. Do it, everyone falls back. We defend the shelter entrance only. That means they will be right on top of us. I know, but we're out of options. Just get everyone back here alive. Yes, sir. Yang looked at the chronometer. 8 hours until the ghost wolves arrived. 8 hours might as well be 8 years. But they had come this far, survived this long. They weren't going to give up now. He stood up and addressed the shelter. Everyone listen, they are hitting us hard, they want us to break, they want us to surrender, but we're still here, we're still breathing, and help is coming, just a few more hours, we can do this, together. People nodded, some were crying, some were praying, but they stood together. Outside in orbit, the commander was growing impatient. These humans should have surrendered days ago, should have broken, should have begged for mercy. Instead, they fought. It made no sense. They were scientists and farmers, not warriors, yet they fought like warriors. The commander made a decision. End this. Send all ground forces. Overwhelm the remaining defenses. Take the research data by force. He gave the order. 500 soldiers began descending to the planet's surface. And above them, invisible in the darkness of space, 3 human ships were racing toward the system at impossible speed. Ghost wolves, coming for their family. The unseen dawn dropped out of slip space at the edge of the system. Captain Bora's hands moved across her controls with practiced precision. Stealth systems active, she reported quietly. Running dark, no emissions. Behind her, Colonel Jinho studied the tactical display. 18 ships in orbit around the planet, hundreds of ground troops on the surface, and somewhere below, 200 humans holding on by their fingernails. Can you get us past their sensor grid? Jinho asked. Bora smiled. It was a predator's smile. Watch me. The 3 human frigates slipped forward like shadows. The ships were large and powerful, but they weren't looking for threats. They thought the battle was already won. They were focused on the planet below. That was their first mistake. Bora navigated through the fleet like water flowing around rocks. Her ship was small and quiet. Its hull was designed to absorb sensor beams instead of reflecting them. To the unseen dawn was invisible. Approaching high orbit, Bora whispered. Drop zone in 3 minutes. Jinho activated the unit-wide channel. All ghost wolves, final check, sound off. Down in the drop bay, 200 soldiers confirmed their status one by one. Every weapon loaded, every suit sealed, every soldier ready. Lieutenant Dong led the breach teams. Sergeant 1 had his demolitions prepared. Lieutenant Jin and her snipers were calibrated and ready. We're going in hot, Jinho told them. No stealth approach on the ground. We hit them fast and hard. Dong's teams breach the perimeter. 1 targets their command ship. Jin provides overwatch and eliminates their officers. What about the civilians? Someone asked. We make contact first. Let them know we're friendly. Last thing we need is jumpy civilians shooting at us in the chaos. How bad is it down there, sir? Jinho pulled up the latest sensor data. Bad, the colony is collapsed. Main shelter is under direct assault. They're running on fumes. The cargo bay was silent. Which is why we're not landing, Jinho continued. We're dropping straight down, no brakes, no burn. We hit terminal velocity and deploy chutes at 200 meters. They won't see us coming until we're on top of them. That got some nervous laughs. Orbital drops were dangerous even in good conditions. Doing it at night with no landing burn was borderline suicidal. But that's what made it effective. 30 seconds to drop, Bora announced. Jinho sealed his helmet. Around him, his soldiers did the same. The cargo bay doors opened. Cold air rushed in. Below them, the planet waited in darkness. Remember, Jinho said, these civilians have been fighting for 7 days. They're exhausted and scared. When we arrive, we give them hope. We show them what Earth military looks like when you threaten our people. We show the why you don't mess with humanity. Someone said. 200 voices answered. Drop in 3, 2, 1, go. Jinho stepped out of the ship and fell toward the planet. The feeling of never got old. Wind screamed past Jinho's armor. The planet rushed up to meet him. His heads-up display tracked his altitude, 5,000 meters, 4,000, 3,000. Around him, 200 other soldiers fell in formation. They were ghosts in the night, silent, invisible, deadly. At 2,000 meters, they finally detected something. Their sensors picked up atmospheric disturbance, but by then it was too late. At 200 meters, Jinho deployed his parachute. The sudden deceleration felt like a giant hand grabbed him. Then he was floating down the last distance. Below him, soldiers were scrambling. They were setting up positions around the collapsed colony, preparing for a final assault. Jinho landed in soft dirt. His chute detached automatically. He raised his rifle and activated his night vision. Green shapes moved everywhere, troops, hundreds of them. "All teams check in," Jinho said softly. One by one, his teams reported. Everyone had landed safely. They were spread across the battlefield in a wide circle. They had no idea they were surrounded. "Jin, you have targets." "Multiple," the sniper replied. "I count 15 officers, requesting permission to engage." "Granted, silent kills only. Don't let them call for help." "Copy." Jinho couldn't see Jin. She was somewhere in the rocks 2 kilometers away, but he knew she was lining up her first shot. An officer was barking orders to his troops. He had 4 eyes and gray skin. He looked confident, like he knew the battle was already won. Then his head snapped back. He dropped without a sound. His soldiers looked around in confusion. What happened? Where did that come from? Another officer dropped, then another. Now they were panicking. Someone was killing their leaders and they couldn't see who. "One status?" Jinho asked. "In position under their command ship. Charges placed on reactor coolant system. When I blow it, their shields drop and power goes offline. Hold until I give the signal." "Standing by." Jinho moved through the darkness. His armor made almost no sound. He saw a patrol ahead. 4 soldiers walking together, weapons ready. They never saw him coming. Jinho moved like a shadow. His blade was silent. 4 quick movements. 4 bodies hit the ground. All around the perimeter, ghost wolves were doing the same thing, eliminating sentries, cutting off communications, creating chaos. They didn't know what was happening. They were used to facing enemies who announced themselves, who attacked head-on with noise and fire. Human special forces didn't work that way. "Dong ready for breach?" Jinho asked. "Ready, sir. We've mapped the tunnel entrances. We can reach the shelter in 10 minutes. "Good, hold position. First we make contact with the civilians. Let them know we're here." Jinho found a spot with clear line of sight to the colony. He pulled out a laser communicator and aimed it at the shelter entrance. The beam was invisible, narrow, and nearly impossible to intercept. "Outpost Harmony, this is Ghost Wolf Leader. Do you copy?" Static, then a voice, tired, strained, but hopeful. "Ghost Wolf Leader, this is Colony Administrator Yang. We copy. Are you really here?" "We're here, 200 soldiers. We've surrounded the positions. In approximately 5 minutes, we're going to hit them with everything we have. When that happens, you need to keep your people inside the shelter. Things are going to get loud." "Understood, Ghost Wolf Leader. Thank you." "Thank you for holding out. You gave us something to work with. Now let us do our job." Jinho switched channels. "All teams, the civilians are secured and warned. Jin, continue eliminating officers. 1, blow the charges on my mark. All assault teams prepare to breach on my signal." "Standing by." "Ready." Locked and loaded. Jinho checked his tactical display. His soldiers were in position. They were confused and leaderless. The command ship hung in orbit, unsuspecting. It was time to show the what happened when you threatened human lives. 1, execute. Charges away. High above on the command ship, Sergeant One's explosives detonated. The reactor coolant system ruptured. Alarms screamed. The ship's shields flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, but it was too late. The flagship was dead in space. On the ground, every soldier's communication device went silent. No orders, no coordination, no leadership. All teams, Jinho said calmly, light them up. The night exploded with weapon fire. Ghost wolves emerged from the darkness like vengeful spirits. They moved in perfect coordination. Every shot found its target. Every movement was precise. They tried to fight back, but they were scattered and blind. They had been hunting humans. Now they were being hunted. Dong's breach team reached the tunnel entrance. Soldiers were trying to force their way inside. They were so focused on the shelter that they didn't see the humans behind them until it was too late. Targets down, Dong reported. Entrance secured, moving in to support civilians. Inside the shelter, Yang heard the change in the battle immediately. The weapons fell silent. Human weapons took over. Different sounds, sharper, more controlled. They're here, he told his people. Earth is here. Wu and his security team were at the shelter entrance, weapons ready. They heard footsteps approaching. Fast, professional. Outpost Harmony Security, this is Lieutenant Dong, 3rd Assault Unit. We're coming in. Don't shoot. Wu lowered his weapon. Come on in, Lieutenant. It's good to see you. Dong and his team entered the shelter. They were massive in their combat armor, weapons that looked like they could punch holes through tanks. But when Dong removed his helmet, he had a kind face. You people did good, he said to Wu. Real good. 7 days against these odds, that takes guts. We had good reasons to survive, Wu replied. Around them, civilians were staring at the soldiers. Children pointed at the armor. Adults were crying with relief. Medical team, start triage, Dong ordered. Engineering, assess the structure. Command wants to know if this shelter is stable. Ghost wolves spread through the shelter. They brought supplies, medicine, food, water, things the civilians hadn't seen in days. One found herself working with military medics. They had equipment she could only dream of. They stabilized her critical patients in minutes. You did this with mining tools? One medic asked, looking at her improvised surgery. I did what I had to, one said. You saved lives. Good work, doctor. Outside, the battle was winding down. They were retreating. Some tried to escape to their ships, but Bora was waiting in orbit. Her weapons disabled their engines. They weren't going anywhere. Jinho stood in the center of the battlefield. Around him, soldiers were surrendering, dropping their weapons, raising their hands. He opened a channel to the command ship. Commander, this is Colonel Jinho, Earth Military. Your ground forces are defeated. Your flagship is disabled. You have one chance. Withdraw from this system immediately or face complete destruction. The commander's voice came back. He sounded shaken. Who? What are you? We're humans, and you just learned an important lesson. When you threaten one of us, you threaten all of us. When you trap our people, we come for them, every time, no matter the odds. This is an act of war. No, Jinho said coldly. This is a rescue operation. You started the war when you attacked civilians. We're ending it. The line went silent. Then slowly the ships began withdrawing. They limped away into space, damaged and defeated. Jinho watched them go. Then he walked toward the shelter entrance. It was time to meet the people they had come to save. Yang stood at the shelter entrance as Colonel Jinho walked in. The colonel was tall, his armor still smoking from battle. But when he saw the civilians, he removed his helmet. His face was human, normal, real. Colony Administrator Yang, Jinho asked. Yes, sir. Jinho extended his hand. Colonel Jinho, 3rd Assault Unit. Sorry we took so long. Yang shook his hand. Then, surprising himself, he pulled the colonel into a hug. You came. You actually came. Around them, the shelter erupted. People were crying, cheering, hugging each other. Children ran forward to touch the soldiers' armor. Parents thanked every ghost wolf they could find. Jinho let them celebrate for a moment. Then he gently pulled away from Yang. "We need to evacuate everyone," Jinho said. "This structure isn't stable. We're setting up a temporary camp on the surface. My engineers will have it ready in an hour." "What about the?" Wu asked. "Will they come back?" "No," Jinho said with certainty. "They're running. And even if they weren't, Admiral Sang is arriving with the main battle fleet in 6 hours. The Empire would need to send their entire military to fight us now. They won't. They'll cut their losses." Na stepped forward. "Colonel, they came for our research, our quantum drive data." "I know," Jinho nodded. "Admiral Sang briefed me. We'll make sure it stays secure. Though between you and me, I think you folks proved something more valuable than any research." "What's that?" "That humans don't break. The thought civilians would be easy targets. They learned otherwise." The evacuation took 2 hours. Ghost wolves carried the wounded. They helped the elderly. They carried children who were too tired to walk. Every civilian made it to the surface safely. The temporary camp was already set up. Military-grade shelters, food stations, medical tents with real equipment. It looked like a small city had appeared overnight. One worked with the military medical team. Her critical patients were stabilized. They would all survive now. "Doctor," a military medic said to her, "I read your report. You performed surgery with mining equipment. No anesthetic except alcohol. No proper tools." "I did what I could," one said, exhausted. "You saved 5 lives that should have died. You did more than what you could. You did what was necessary. That's the mark of a good doctor." One felt tears on her face. She hadn't cried once during the siege. But now, with the danger past, everything hit her at once. The medic put a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay. You can rest now. We've got it from here." Wu found his security team gathered around a fire. They looked like they had aged 10 years in 7 days. Ghost wolves sat with them, sharing field rations. "Your trap at Junction 7 was genius," one ghost wolf said to me, "son. Collapsing floor over a mine shaft. Classic." Me son smiled tiredly. "I saw it in an old war movie. Figured it might work." "It worked. Took out 6 enemy soldiers. That's 6 less we had to fight." "I can't believe we held them off for 7 days, said. "We're not soldiers." "You are now," Sergeant 1 told her. "Maybe you weren't trained for combat, but you fought anyway. That's what makes a soldier, not the training. The willingness to stand when everyone else runs." Wu looked at his team. These were scientists, engineers, farmers, but they had become warriors when they had no choice. "We couldn't have done it without you," he said to the ghost wolves. "When we got that message saying help was coming, that's what kept us going, knowing Earth didn't abandon us." "Earth never abandons its people," one said firmly. "That's not who we are." At the command tent, Jinho was briefing Admiral Sang via communication link. The Admiral's fleet had arrived in orbit, 12 battleships. The ships had fled the system entirely. "Casualties?" Sang asked. "0 on our side. The civilians lost 8 people during the siege before we arrived. 19 wounded but all stable now." "And the?" "Approximately 200 killed, 300 captured, the rest retreated. Their command ship is disabled but intact. We could salvage it if you want." Sang considered. "No, let them take it. Let them go home and tell everyone what happened here. That's worth more than 1 captured ship." "Understood, sir." "Good work, Colonel. You and your team performed exactly as expected, flawlessly." Jinho allowed himself a small smile. "Thank you, sir. But the real heroes are the civilians. They held against impossible odds for 7 days. We just finished what they started." "I'll make sure everyone knows that. Jinho, I want you to do something for me." "Sir?" "I want you to gather all the civilians. Tell them they're going home. Tell them Earth is proud of them. Tell them the whole galaxy is going to hear their story." An hour later, all 200 civilians gathered in the main area of the camp. They stood together, tired but alive. Families held each other. Friends stayed close. Jinho stood before them, with his entire unit behind him. "People of Outpost Harmony," he began. "I'm not good at speeches. I'm a soldier. I do my job, but I need to tell you something." He paused, looking at their faces. "What you did here, surviving 7 days against a force that should have destroyed you in 7 hours, that's going to echo across the galaxy. Every alien species is going to hear about the human civilians who refused to surrender, who fought with mining tools and improvised weapons, who held the line until help arrived." Yang stepped forward. "We only held because we knew you were coming, because we knew Earth wouldn't abandon us." "That's right," Jinho said. "Earth doesn't abandon its people, not ever, but you gave us something to work with. You stayed alive, you fought smart, you helped each other. That's what makes us human, not our weapons or our ships, our refusal to give up, our refusal to leave anyone behind." A small child raised her hand. Jinho smiled and nodded at her. "Mr. Soldier," she asked, "are the bad aliens gone now?" "Yes, they're gone, and they won't come back." "Did you hurt them?" Jinho knelt down to her level. "We did what we had to do to protect your mom and dad and everyone here. Sometimes that means fighting, but we only fight when we have to protect people, to keep families safe." The child nodded, satisfied. "Everyone," Jinho stood. "In 2 hours, transport ships will arrive to take you home, back to Earth. You'll get medical care, rest, time to recover. Your families are waiting for you." "What about our research?" Na asked. "The quantum drive data, I destroyed it to keep it from the—" "Your primary data is gone," Jinho confirmed. "But your backup systems uploaded everything to Earth archives before the attack. Nothing was lost. Your work is safe." Na exhaled in relief. Years of research still intact. "What happens to the—" Wu asked. "They'll go home and report to their empire," Jinho said. "They'll tell their leaders that they attacked a human colony, that they faced human military forces, that they lost. And then the empire will make a choice. They can apologize and negotiate peace, or they can try again. If they try again, they'll face the full might of Earth's military, not just one assault unit, the entire fleet, every ship, every soldier." Jinho's voice grew harder. "And we'll make sure every alien species in the galaxy sees what happens when you threaten humanity, when you trap our people, when you try to take what's ours." Sergeant One stepped forward. "The colonel is being diplomatic. Let me translate. If they try this again, we won't just rescue civilians. We'll march straight to their home world. We'll park our fleet in their orbit, and we'll make them regret ever hearing the word human." Some civilians gasped. Others nodded in approval. "But we don't think they'll try again," Jinho continued. "Because they learned something today. They learned that humans protect their own. All of them, civilians, military, scientists, children, we're all family, and you don't mess with someone's family." The transport ships arrived on schedule. They were huge vessels capable of carrying thousands, medical bays, recreation areas, real beds and hot food. The civilians boarded slowly. Some stopped to shake hands with the ghost wolves. Others just nodded in respect. A few children saluted clumsily, and the soldiers saluted back with serious faces. Yang was one of the last to board. He stood with Jinho at the loading ramp. "Will you be coming back here?" Yang asked. "To rebuild?" "That's up to you and your people," Jinho said. "Earth will support whatever you decide. We can rebuild this colony, make it stronger, better defended, or we can relocate you somewhere safer." "I think we'll rebuild," Yang said. "We fought for this place. Our friends died for it. We can't just walk away." Jinho nodded. "I thought you'd say that. Admiral Sang is already planning to establish a military garrison here, 200 soldiers, permanent posting, and we're installing a defense grid. If the or anyone else tries this again, they'll regret it. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Jinho replied. You and your people reminded us why we do this job, why we train, why we're willing to risk our lives, because somewhere out there humans need help, and we'll always answer that call. They shook hands one final time, then Yang boarded the transport. As the ship lifted off, he looked down at the planet, at the collapsed colony, at the ghost wolves standing in formation, watching them leave. He thought about the past 7 days, the fear, the fighting, the moment when he thought they would all die. But they hadn't died, they had survived, and Earth had come for them. Every human out there is family, the Colonel had said. Yang believed it now. In orbit, Admiral Sang stood on the bridge of his flagship. His fleet surrounded the planet like a protective shield. The ships were long gone. Admiral, his communication officer called. We're receiving a transmission. It's from the Galactic Council. Put it through. An alien face appeared on screen. Multiple species represented on the council. They looked concerned. Admiral Sang, the council leader said, we've received reports of a human military operation in space, an attack on forces. Not an attack, Sang corrected calmly. A rescue operation. They attacked a civilian colony. We responded. The Empire is protesting. They claim you violated their territory. They violated human territory first. They sieged civilians, attempted to steal research data, killed 8 of our people. We responded proportionally. They say they had no choice, that the humans refused to surrender. Sang's expression hardened. Of course they refuse to surrender. They're human. We don't surrender our people to anyone. This could start a war. No, Sang said firmly. This could end a war before it starts. They learned today what happens when you threaten humans. Every species in this galaxy needs to learn the same lesson. He leaned forward. We're not conquerors, we're not expansionists. We just want to live in peace. But if anyone attacks our people anywhere, we will respond. We will come for them, with everything we have. Is that clear? The council members looked at each other. Very clear, Admiral, the leader said quietly. Good. Now Earth would like to open formal negotiations with the Empire. Peace talks. Reparations for the families of those killed. An apology. If they agree to these terms, we'll consider this matter closed. And if they don't agree, then they'll learn there are consequences for attacking humans. The transmission ended. Sang turned to his crew. Take us home, our people are safe, the mission is complete. Sir, his tactical officer said, the fleet is regrouping at the border. Should we maintain watch? Yes, but they won't try again. They got the message. What message, sir? Sang looked out at the stars. That humanity doesn't leave its people behind. That we're loyal to each other. That we'll fight impossible odds to protect our own. And that anyone who threatens a human will face all of humanity. He smiled slightly. They thought 200 civilians would be easy targets. They learned otherwise. That lesson cost them 200 soldiers and their pride. Next time, if there is a next time, it will cost them much more. The fleet turned and jumped to slip space, heading home. Below them, on the planet's surface, the ghost wolves remained. They would stay until the colony was rebuilt, until every human felt safe again. Because that's what they did. They protected their family. All of them. Always.